In a world where people share everything online, the ones who share almost nothing begin to feel like a different species. You scroll through Instagram, TikTok, stories, reels. You see friends on trips, in gyms, with partners, with cocktails. You might even know what your coworker had for lunch. But there are always a few people on your list with almost no trace. No selfies, no long captions, no look at my life. Just a profile picture and silence. It is easy to think they are boring, or lonely, or hiding, until you actually see how they live offline. Back in my final year of university, one of my dorm mates was exactly that person. He never posted. His Instagram was basically empty. No stories, no flexing. Whenever we took group photos, he would smile, stand in the back, and then do absolutely nothing with the pictures. We joked that if you looked at his socials, you would think he didn't exist. Then one winter, we planned a trip to a ski town. It was half about skiing, half about escaping exams and pretending to be outdoorsy people for a weekend. We invited him along without thinking much of it. On the first morning, we rented beginner gear, wobbling around like newborn deer. He walked in with his own board, his own boots, his own helmet. The staff knew him by name. "You're back," they called. "Haven't seen you in a while." He laughed, bumped fists, talked about snow conditions. We stood there in rental jackets, watching this silent guy greet half the mountain like old friends. Then we watched him ride. He was good, not just pretty good for a hobby, actually good. Smooth turns, clean jumps, that easy style that only comes from putting in hours when no one is watching. While we were sliding down on our faces, he floated past us, then looped back to help us up. He spent a big chunk of the day at our speed, teaching us, showing us how to stand, how to fall without destroying our knees. Every few minutes, somebody would shout his name from a distance. An instructor, the lift operator, random people who had ridden with him last season. He would stop, talk, pose for a quick photo with them, then come back to us. After skiing, we went to a hot pot place in town. As we walked in, the owner lit up. "Long time no see," she said. "Where have you been hiding?" She dropped 2 huge extra plates of meat on our table, on the house, just because he was there. After we ate, she took us around the area, pointing out little streets and cafes we never would have found. It felt like being on a private tour. Everywhere we went that day, he seemed to know someone. The slopes, the tea shop, the restaurant. It was like watching a secret map of connections appear out of thin air. At some point, half joking, half serious, we asked him, "Dude, your life is this cool and you never post any of it? Did you block all of us or something?" He looked genuinely confused, then laughed and handed us his phone. We opened his gallery and just stared. Hundreds of photos. Sunrises, cities, parties, mountains, people. He had documented everything, just not online. Later that night, we asked him why. "Why don't you share any of this?" He thought for a second and said, "Honestly, I feel like posting every highlight is a way of asking for approval. Like I'm standing in a room going, 'Please clap. Please tell me my life looks fun.' If I need other people's reactions to prove my life is meaningful, then I'm not really living it. I'm performing it. I'd rather enjoy the moment for myself. If I feel happy on that mountain, that's enough." We all went quiet for a bit. It was a sharp answer, maybe a little harsh, but it hit somewhere uncomfortable. Because, if we were honest, a lot of us did post for the reaction, for the "you look amazing," the "wow, I'm jealous." We liked the feeling of people seeing us as interesting and alive. Sometimes, when nothing was happening, we felt like we were disappearing. Sharing became a way to prove we were still here. But that weekend, watching him, I realized something. Not everyone needs their life to be witnessed in public to believe it matters. There are people who are fully present, fully engaged, without ever turning their experiences into content. Their memories live in their own head, or in their camera roll, or in the stories they tell over dinner, not in a feed. Of course, that is not the only way to see it. I have another friend who loves posting. She treats her Instagram almost like a scrapbook. Concert tickets, coffee dates, sunsets, paintings, random book quotes. She is not chasing some influencer life. She uses her page as a timeline, a way to remember where she has been and who she has been with. When I'm old, she jokes, I want to scroll and see my 20s, not just wonder where the years went. For her, posting is not begging for approval. It is recording her own story. She also says something practical. Your profile is like a little self-introduction. If someone is thinking about working with you, dating you, or even being your friend, they'll probably look at your page. They get a quick sense of your style, your humor, your interests. In a world where a lot of relationships start online, that's not wrong. If you want to widen your circle, posting is one way to signal who you are and to invite people in. Some people enjoy that. They like the idea that friends can see their life from a distance, even if they don't talk every day. They like feeling connected to cousins, old classmates, and coworkers scattered across cities and countries. For them, social media is not as much as a stage as a shared photo album. If they post a lot, it's not always to impress others. Sometimes it's to make their future self smile. And then there are people who just don't bother. Not because they're deep or mysterious or morally superior. They're just busy or tired or private. Maybe they spend all day in front of a screen for work, and the last thing they want to do is think about captions. Maybe they find it draining to edit their life into squares and clips. Maybe they had a bad experience, online drama, stalking, bullying, and decided that the safest thing to do is to stay quiet. Some are actively enjoying their real life so much they forget to pull out their phone. Others are not doing well at all and do not want to show that to the world. No posts does not always mean thriving in secret. Sometimes it means barely holding it together. You really cannot tell from the outside. One thing, though, is almost always true. People curate. Whether they are posting or not, they tend to make choices that serve their own interests. Most of us share wins more than losses. We post the new job, not the months of rejection. We share the vacation, not the debt. We upload the smiling couple photo, not the fight that happened in the car. We filter out our own bad angles, bad days, bad moods. Even people who seem very raw online usually choose which dark parts to show and which to keep hidden. So when we look at someone who never posts, we often project onto them. Maybe they are lame. Maybe they are living a secret double life. Maybe they think they're better than everyone. In reality, the quiet ones often have a simple rule. My life is mine, not a public service. They care more about how something feels than how it looks. The joy of a night out for them is in the laughter, not the story the next day. The meaning of a hike is in the climb and the view, not the photo at the top. There is a quiet psychology under that choice. Some people who avoid posting are deeply allergic to being watched. They grew up with too many eyes on them. Critical parents, gossipy relatives, a small town where every move became news. To them, social media feels like inviting that feeling back. So they step back. They keep their joys small and close. They may still share, but only in group chats or with one or two people over voice notes. Their life is not hidden from everyone. It is just hidden from the crowd. Others simply don't want their memories to be scored. When you post, you open the door to numbers, likes, views, comments, engagement.
Whether you care or not, your brain notices. You share one thing and it gets tons of attention. You share something else that meant more to you and it sinks without a ripple. It is hard not to let that sting. Quiet people sometimes prefer not to put their favorite moments on that stage at all. They will still take photos, they will still record videos, but the audience is themselves, not an algorithm. On the flip side, people who post a lot are not automatically shallow or performative. Some of them are genuinely expressive, visual, and social by nature. They grew up with cameras and stories and filters and see no clear border between real life and online life. For them, sharing a happy moment is like saying, "I wish you were here." There is warmth in it. There is generosity. They want to include, not just impress. The problem starts when we use someone's posting habits as a moral measure. You post all the time, you must be insecure. You post nothing, you must be deep. Neither of those is necessarily true. There are insecure people who never post, and secure people who post constantly. There are thoughtful, grounded people with detailed highlight reels. There are reckless, numb people with empty feeds. Maybe the real question is not why do they post or not post, but where is their sense of worth coming from? If your value rises and falls with your notifications, if a low-like post ruins your mood for the day, social media is holding too much power over you. If your value rises and falls with how mysterious and unreadable you appear, if you feel superior for being off the grid, that is just another form of ego. When I think back to my doormate on the mountain, what stays with me is not that he never posts. It is that his life was full even when no one was watching. He had built relationships on that slope, in that restaurant, in those little corners of town, through showing up again and again in person. He had a rich gallery of memories that belonged to him first, not to his followers. And when he said, "I live for myself," it was not a slogan. It matched how he moved through the world. At the same time, when I scroll through my other friend's profile and see years of tiny moments, birthday cakes, rainy streets, messy desks, stupid memes, I feel a different kind of beauty. Her page is not a performance, it is a living diary. It makes me remember times we shared, things we survived. It also reminds me that humans have always wanted to draw on cave walls, write in journals, keep photo albums. Posting can be a modern version of that. So if you are someone who never posts, you don't need to feel behind. You might simply be more comfortable living your story than broadcasting it. If you are someone who posts a lot, you don't need to feel guilty or fake. You might simply enjoy documenting life and staying visible to the people you love. Both are fine. What matters is whether your choices come from fear or from freedom. Are you posting because you feel like you have to prove something, or because you honestly enjoy sharing? Are you staying silent because it protects your peace, or because you are too afraid of being seen? Only you know the real answer. In the end, the quiet psychology of people who don't post on social media is not that they are better, wiser, or more mysterious. It is simply that their sense of reality is anchored somewhere else, in the taste of hot pot after a long day on the slopes, in the sound of their names shouted from across a ski run, in the look of a friend's face when they sit down together with no phones on the table. Their proof that they exist is not on a screen. It is in the way they feel when they are out there, actually living.